My name's Nick Harvey. I'm from Kent Valley in the Adelaide Hills of South Australia.
You know, the very essence of the mental game is this. The only reason an event matters is because we make it matter.
Welcome to the Mullins Farrier podcast.
I had a soccer coach, and he always said, we are going to be the fittest team always out there. Because in the moment, you don't want to be worried about being tired. You want to be focused on the soccer game.
Right.
Which is what's going to translate for me, hopefully, in the CJF, is that I'm not worried about being tired. I can focus on the task at hand.
And granted, he was like, get your specimens made. 3 months before you take your exam, get all your AW specimens made. And it's good to have other people putting that pressure on you as well. Sometimes if it's a single journey, and you've not got mentors that are coaching you, helping you, you kind of rest a little bit.
If you're hearing this, you are currently on the non-subscriber feed. If you would like to hear this episode in its entirety, please subscribe using the link below. If you're a student, apprentice, or just find yourself in a situation where it isn't financially feasible to subscribe, please reach out to me on Facebook or through the website. The good folks at Out West Design and Fabrication are lending their support by helping us to cover your scholarship subscription. You can check out many of their incredible projects on their Facebook page. Out West Design and Fabrication, your choice for Farrier rakes. Now here's a sample of this week's episode. Thank you for listening.
Most people that I know in this industry only want the best for the other people in the industry, which is a pretty cool thing.
Hey everyone, this is Andrew DeVisser here from Fletcher Forge and Tool. I'm here with your business tip of the day. I want to start off with one of the most important topics in business finance, profit margin, which can be defined simply as how much your business takes home after your expenses. Many farriers take little home even though their businesses are posting significant income numbers. You can improve your profit margin in two ways: raise your prices or reduce your expenses. Reducing your expenses is less glamorous, but it's often the best place to start. Make a list of your expenses from last year and sort them from greatest to least, and then attack them in that order. Remember that no expense is completely fixed. There is always room for creativity. Then look at raising your prices. Honestly, at the end of the day, the single biggest piece of advice I have for raising prices is the Nike slogan, just do it. You'll do less horses for the same or more money, which gives you more time to improve your skills, look after clients, and also gives you a better shot at some work-life balance. That's it for this time. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Cool. And what brings you all the way out here to Chattanooga, Tennessee?
Oh, we've been at the American Farriers Convention.
Right. Now this is the end of a fairly long trip.
Yeah, so we've been here for, I think, just shy of 3.5 weeks, and we've been lucky enough to spend some time traveling around. Saw New York City, spent some time with a very good farrier in Maryland, and then we went to Colorado and experienced snow and ice for the first time, which was
the first time ever.
Slightly traumatic as we ended up in a drift with a tree in the rent-a-car. And then, to Tennessee and Nashville. That was pretty wild going out on the strip there.
You really? Yeah.
Yeah, it was about 20 bachelorette parties and, I got told to look like Elon Musk twice, which is the first.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Maybe
I can see it. I don't
Well,
know.
that's
Can
a
you
hard
jump
thing.
around with a really short shirt on?
Talk to you about rockets. That's a hard thing about getting older. Like, people used to say I look like Harry Styles, and now I'm in my Elon Musk phase of my life.
I'm sorry.
That's a hard fall.
No kidding. So who did you hang out with when you went to Maryland?
I was lucky enough to spend some time with Mike Poe. He came and
okay.
judged our competition back home, and he spent a week with me, and he invited us to come back over and spend some time with him. And I was lucky enough to have Mike Shue with me back home. I took a whole week off work to show him around, and I think by about Wednesday he was bored and wanted to get
To
under
shoot
some horses.
Yeah. It's funny that.
Yeah, so that was like a full day clinic, and that was just awesome. We've probably got quite, like, I'm nowhere near that standard, but we've got pretty similar sort of beliefs about shoeing, which was cool. And yeah, just to have someone like that working with you and meeting your little old clients and doing backyard horses with you was cool. Yeah, and then seeing the other side, like going to these big hunter jumper barns with Mike, that like these people could buy and sell you 10 times over, 3-story houses, and yeah, that was just wild. But seeing the feet they're dealing with that's a super wet environment and they're on a short cycle and you're just trying to keep it together. But yeah, he's one hell of a horseshoer.
No kidding. He's on my wish list. Hopefully I'll catch him at some point.
I reckon that'd be pretty good. He'd tell you a lot.
Yeah. Well, I've watched him on others, so yeah, it would be really, really cool to have him on.
He's an interesting dude. Like, he's someone that, again, has pushed to that higher level of education and competition, and he's super generous with his time. Yeah. And that's what we found, having him, like, bringing him over to judge our comp. Like, he gave everyone, like, we ran a little clinic and he gave everyone the time of day. Right. Didn't matter who you were, which is, I think, is a big tell on how someone is. Like, we had Tom Peterson come down to Western Australia and he ran a clinic out of Mick Saunders' forge, and, like, you had, the guys that, are our top end, and then you had guys like me who were just kicking around, and Tom gave everyone the same time, and it's just a huge tell about someone's character. And yeah, someone as handy as him, it was pretty cool.
Cool. Tell me about shoeing in Australia. First of all, how did you become a shoer?
So when I finished school, I'd read too many Outback magazines, and I was going to go be a ringer in the top end. I thought that was going to be a big tough cowboy, and I lasted about 5 months doing that. It was pretty interesting. I was pretty soft, and I didn't know anywhere near what I thought I knew about horses and cows and that whole deal. Like, you had to shoe your own plant horses. And so I got the nickname Lightning because I couldn't hit the same place twice when I'm nailed up. Yeah, and to be honest, that hasn't changed a whole lot. I spent a lot of my apprenticeship with my hands all bandaged up from hitting different bits, and Craig saying, "Oh, is that your blood or the horse's blood?" So, no, it's mine, it's cool. So we can keep going. So I did that for 5 months, and I came back and got a job with a horse breaker, who's a very good friend of mine now, a bloke called John Henschke, who's like a very talented horseman, and I worked for him for 2 years. And I knew I wanted a job working with horses, but trying to make a living breaking in horses is hard.
No
and
kidding.
John was very talented, and especially where we are, like, there's not big enough industries to, just be like a cow horse trainer working camp draft or sales horses. And John was always keen not to have to get under any of his own horse's feet, so he'd let me go wild. So I worked for John for 2 years, and I was offered an apprenticeship with a local fella, and I just fell into it. He was a friend of our horse dentist, and that's how I ended up working for Craig. And I remember going the first day, we went to a polo place to meet him and his apprentice and Trav Crozer, and I was so nervous I couldn't put on my apron. I couldn't get anything to do up, and just looking at me going, "Who's this?" And yeah, Trav's like, "Are you right?" I mean, yeah. I hope I don't cripple him up. And Trav's like, if you cripple him up, clinching him up, you're doing real good. So I thought of how that all started and worked for Craig. So we did a 4-year apprenticeship with him, and then I continued working for Craig for about 5 years after that. He had a business that could handle 2 full-time guys, a lot of thoroughbreds and breeding stock. And we get on. He's a very close friend of mine now, and we get on. We hang out pretty much every week and still get on very well.
Very cool.
He's covering for me a bit while I'm here, so very much appreciated, Craig.
Yeah. Helpful to have those people in your life.
Oh, yeah. There's a few people I've got to thank to be able to get over here. Young Jay's covering the rest of my book.
And I don't know if you already said it, but what is Craig's last name?
So Craig Jolly. So Craig, he grew up in South Australia, then spent I think he was about in Perth for probably 12 years working for John Godwin. And then he came back and took on the stable. So Lindsay Park is a big, in South Australia, that was the big. So the Queen's been there. I think David Gully visited the shop. Like, there's a shoeing workshop there. I reckon the Mallender brothers had come to visit. I know David had come to see Greg Murray when he was shoeing there. So it's been there. Like, yeah, the Queen's been there. And yeah, it's quite an institution, but it's sort of like the money's dried up in the industry at home. So it's just broken apart a bit into smaller outfits.
Okay. Gotcha. And then when you were working on thoroughbreds, were they race horses or off the track? No,
they were all galloping thoroughbreds. And that was to learn to nail up on something that was going to run on the weekend and not have that pressure get to you. I don't think I ever mastered that. But they were good to learn on because we were just working as ourselves. We had our own horse holders. So like, if you bled one, you didn't have the owner there passing out. You had to wear it if you made one lame, but it was your own deal. If you prick one or bled one in front of the client, they're not having a meltdown and trying to put themselves back together while you're trying to clean up the blood. So there were benefits. Learning to shoe there's a dark art to shoeing thoroughbreds and keeping them together. And we were lucky they had wet sand boxes, so they usually had pretty good foot and grow a good amount of foot. You weren't always battling for nails. Yeah.
What were some of the more difficult ones that you would be dealing with? So for me personally, I really struggle with thoroughbreds.
Yeah.
We have a conflict of personality. They get amped up, I get amped up, and I just take it personally. But First of all, just that. What were some of the things you learned in getting around thoroughbreds, especially ones at the track? Like, they're going to be the most amped up.
So the great thing about thoroughbreds and thoroughbred trainers is they've got access to vets, and vets have access to drugs. And drugs will bring out the best in any horse.
Right.
So anything that was too squirrely, would get them doped. Shoeing as a two-man unit, if you've only got to shoe half a bad horse, that's a good time.
Right, okay.
And like, it sort of taught you to move around them, not fight them, just get through it and get it done. But yeah, thoroughbreds, it's challenging in that you've got to manage your trainer's expectations. And if, you've got something that's broken, you've got to, there's not really no for an answer.
Right.
He's on a program, he's got to run, between you and the vet, you've got to get him there.
What were some of the magical things that you had to come up with to make that happen?
Oh, bar shoes and equithane will fix a lot of
Fix a lot,
problems.
right.
Yeah. So we were pretty lucky. We didn't have too many. Often they were spelling on deep sand up the riverland, so you'd get them back and the feet would be pretty wild, and you'd spend most of their time in training bringing them back. So by the time they're running, the feet were pretty good.
Okay, that helps.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were shoeing in Adelaide, the stables there, they were in sawdust, so you had sawdust, and working on between the track was a lot of asphalt, so you had different issues there. Get the odd quarter crack more down in town, and they were going to different stables interstate and coming back, so you're sort of managing, picking up someone else's work and trying to work in with what they'd done, or you'd get something rock up. And I remember one day we had one come from Victoria and it had Equilocks on every foot, and I laughed and said, I hope that's not hiding 4 quarter cracks. And I reckon they're about 3. And Craig told me to, we're going to fix this. But yeah, we were pretty lucky. We didn't have a hole. We didn't have too many issues, and we had a good vet team. You wanted x-rays on anything, they were good.
Perfect.
And yeah, just trying to keep them sound and going.
If you would like to hear this episode in its entirety, please subscribe using the link in the show notes. Thank you for listening.